Welcome to the AI Campa show, AppDecoded, where we focus on apps and software. Enjoy this episode, like and subscribe. Thank you.
So today, we are diving into what might be one of the most powerful creative tools out there. And you know what the best part is? It's completely free. Yeah, we're talking about Blender.
So, you've got this awesome idea, right? Maybe it's a slick new intro for your channel or a cool 3D model for a game you're building. But then, you hit that wall. The one where you realize pro software costs an arm and a leg, and the learning curve looks like climbing Mount Everest. It's super frustrating, and it kills so many great ideas before they even get started.
But what if I told you there's a way through that wall? That you can actually model, light, animate, and render a totally professional scene without spending a dime? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down right now. There's a tool that's powerful, it's accessible, and it's ready for you.
Okay, so the tool that makes all this magic happen is, of course, Blender. But before we jump into the how-to, let's just take a step back and get a really clear picture of what Blender is, and maybe more importantly, who it's for.
See, Blender isn't just, one simple program. It's more like an entire 3D production studio packed into one download. I mean, you can do it all. Modeling from scratch, sculpting things like their digital clay, bringing them to life with animation, running crazy simulations like fire and water. You can even edit video right inside the app. It really speaks to Blender's whole mission, giving you the entire creative pipeline completely free and open source. Not just now, but forever.
So, you might be asking, is this for me? And the answer is a big yes. If you're a creator looking to spice up your YouTube intros, or maybe you're an educator trying to show a complex idea visually, or hey, an indie game dev building your dream world on a shoestring budget, Blender is your tool. It's basically for anyone who wants pro-level 3D results without getting trapped in those never-ending subscription fees.
Okay, enough talk, let's get practical. How do we actually go from that intimidating blank gray scene to a finished, beautiful render? Well, we can break the whole thing down into 3 main stages, or workflows. And it all starts with the foundation, actually building your 3D object.
So this first step is all about getting your basic shape down. You'll start with something simple, like a cube, and then you jump into what's called edit mode to start pushing and pulling vertices to get the form you want. Now, here's a cool trick. To add details, you use something called modifiers. Think of them like filters you can just switch on and off. They're not permanent. They can make things smooth or add thickness automatically. Then you have to unwrap it. It sounds weird, but just imagine peeling an orange and laying the peel out flat. That's what you're doing to your model so you can paint colors and materials onto it.
And that idea of being non-destructive is so important. Using those modifiers means you're never stuck. You can always go back and change something without having to scrap your work and start all over. The whole point here is to build a clean, super flexible model that's ready for the next step.
Okay, so we have our model. But right now, it probably looks kind of flat, right? How do we make it look real? That's where lighting and rendering come into play. First, you set up the world lighting. A great way to do this is with an HDRI. It's basically a 360-degree photo that surrounds your scene and gives you instant, super realistic light and reflections. After that, you'll add your own lights, the classic key, fill, and rim lights to really carve out the shape of your object. And once you've tweaked your materials, it's time for a really big decision. Which render engine are you going to use?
And this choice, it's a huge deal. It'll completely change how you work. You've got 2 main options. First, there's Eevee. Think of this as the speed engine. It's real-time, which means it's blazing fast. It's awesome for getting a quick preview and just moving things around. Then you have Cycles. This is the quality engine. It's a path tracer, which means it meticulously calculates how light bounces around to give you those jaw-dropping photorealistic images. So the rule of thumb is pretty simple. Use Eevee to work fast and iterate, then switch to Cycles for that final, show-stopping render.
All right, your scene looks incredible. It's lit beautifully, but it's static. Let's make it move. This is the final workflow, animation. You'll start setting keyframes to make your object move, spin, or grow over time. Then you'll add a camera and give it some movement too, creating a really dynamic shot. You can even throw in some animated text for an intro. Once everything is in motion, you just hit render and export it in whatever format you need, for YouTube, a game, whatever.
And seriously, don't sleep on this step. A still image is cool, but adding even a tiny bit of motion, like a slow, smooth camera pan, is what takes your project from good to, whoa, that looks professional. It's that final layer of polish that really makes your work stand out and grab people's attention.
Okay, so this all sounds amazing, right? But let's be honest. Like any piece of pro software, there are a few traps you can fall into. So let's talk about some of the real-world performance stuff and the common pitfalls you'll want to avoid.
Seriously, these are the little things that can drive you crazy if you don't know about them. So, pro tip number 1, always apply your scale with Control A. If you resize an object and forget this, it can totally mess up your effects later. Next, double-check your frame rates. A mismatch there can ruin your animation. And finally, don't just crank up the detail without thinking, and please use the denoiser when you render. It'll save you so much time and give you much cleaner images.
So where does Blender actually sit in the big world of 3D software? Well, you've got your specialists, right? Cinema 4D is kind of the king of motion graphics, and Maya is the big industry standard for feature film animation. Blender's superpower is that it's the ultimate generalist. It's like a Swiss Army knife. It can do a little bit of everything, and honestly, it does it all really well.
So, we've covered the what, the how, and the what to watch out for, which brings us to the big one, the final verdict. Should you actually invest your time learning Blender? And the score is a massive 4.6 out of 5 stars. I mean, that is an incredibly high score for any piece of software, let alone one that's completely free and going head-to-head with programs that cost thousands of dollars.
So why the high score? It really boils down to one simple thing. Blender gives you a complete end-to-end professional pipeline. That workflow we talked about, working super fast in Eevee and then getting those gorgeous final renders from Cycles, that's a total game changer. And to get all of that for free, you just can't beat that value. It's unmatched.
Okay, so let's boil it all down. The bottom line is this. You should definitely jump into Blender if you want to create pro-level 3D without a budget, and if you love the idea of a huge community and a ton of free tutorials and add-ons. Now, when should you maybe skip it? Well, if you need to work in a very specific studio pipeline that demands, say, Maya or Cinema 4D, that's one reason. Or if you're just really not a fan of learning a workflow that's very hotkey-driven, it might be a bit of a steep climb.
And that's our look at Blender. We've seen the incredible power, we've walked through the process. So now I'm going to flip the question back to you. For a second, just forget all the technical stuff. The modifiers, the render engines, all of it. Just think about your creative ideas. What's that one 3D shot that you've always wanted to make? Is it a cool logo animation, a slick product render, an entire animated short? Because honestly, with a tool like Blender, that idea is way closer than you think.